OnEducation's FETC 2020 coverage is sponsored by Fidgets. Fidgets are interactive USB sensors that bring your code to life. There's no soldering or wiring required. Simply plug in a Fidget sensor, write code in your favorite language, and watch your ideas come alive. Fidgets are used by thousands of STEM professionals globally and are now available for computer science students. Simply go to bit.ly/Fidgets on Education to get your introductory kit that includes a free sensor worth over $50. That's bit.ly/Fidgets on Education.
I couldn't assemble IKEA furniture with my wife.
We couldn't find parking in Miami
without
yesterday.
a battle royale occurring in my house. All right, we are here at FETC with the Merrills, Kristin and Joe Merrill. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having us.
This is exciting. So much is going on.
It's been quite a whirlwind, and we've only been here for 24 hours. So.
And 2020 is like shaping up to be like a kick-ass year. This is going to be an awesome year.
Yeah, we've been coining it the year 2020 vision, right? Having that 2020 vision.
Right.
Everything's going to be crystal clear this year.
So for people who don't know who you are, both of you, the power couple or whatever,
Oh,
there's
that's
a
too
couple.
kind.
Wow.
Tell everybody, introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how you do it.
All right, so I'm Kristin Merrill. I'm a fourth grade English language arts teacher. I've been teaching for about 13 years now. And I just have a love of teaching littles, but not the littles like Mr. Merrill. And I just enjoy seeing kids own their learning through just embracing their creativity and the collaboration and just really striving to make learning student-centered. It's kind of been my passion.
My name is Joe, and I'm a first grade teacher, and my ultimate goal is just to make sure that people out there understand that littles can do it too. So
Yes.
when we put devices in front of kids, finding ways to make the learning an experience and really making sure that we hit those standards hard, but at the same time figuring out really engaging, highly engaging ways to capture the learning for students, and really about the creativity, making sure that they're the creators of the content rather than the consumers.
Preaching to the choir, man.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that
this.
just went, yeah. My wife's a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, bless her.
I was just going to say, bless her.
I could not teach grade 1 if I tried. I have tried. I taught grade 2 to 8.
Okay.
Computer science when I taught. And bless you all. Kindergarten grade 1 teachers are my heroes. All of them, especially like the ones that are like also trying to, because I'm not going to say innovating in primary is hard, but like you got to keep them going. And
Right.
like it's
Getting beyond the management of it, right?
oh
It's
my
not just
God.
managing of them, but
Yeah.
also teaching them how to manage themselves and
little
their learning.
lives.
You got to keep them
Just-
busy. Got to.
Boy, oh boy. And I'm big into so my day job is educational robotics, and there's a product called Matata Lab that is fairly new. They actually have a booth here. You should go check them out.
Awesome.
But they are specifically K-2 coding,
Oh, wow. Awesome.
and it's amazing. And it changed, like, when you see it in like a K-2 classroom being used, you're like, this is what I've wanted my whole life. And like things are starting to happen. Like I've been preaching K-2 coding for the last year, like aggressively. I think it's like a big space that isn't being, because I think you just said, like, littles can do it too.
Right.
Is a great way to
Yeah,
put it.
and
right?
as they get older, they start to be scared and afraid of making mistakes. But the little kids aren't scared
No
at all.
fear. No.
They're like, they
Zero
will dive
fear.
right in. And so they're almost the perfect ones to start with because they're open to all of the possibilities.
Yeah, and they have such a passion for school,
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they don't
It's
lose
awesome.
that and hold on to that for as long as possible.
I'm very interested because my wife is also a language arts teacher. And so we actually are in the same school even together, right? And I don't know if you guys are in the same
Yes.
school.
We
Okay.
are.
So
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
So you're in the same school, you come home, and this is exactly our lives right now too, where it's hard to turn off that work world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, our plot thickens even a little more because this year is a special year for us. We have 2 children, and one of them happens to be in 4th grade, and one of them happens to be in 1st grade.
So,
and so I don't know if
they're
you can
in your
see-
school.
Yes,
Whoa.
they're in our classrooms.
Oh
Well,
my
you're
goodness.
teaching
So
your
we're
kids.
This
teaching
is
our own
fantastic.
children.
I love
So we kind of grabbed onto that
What a year.
not thinking we ever were going to do that.
Sure.
And I've been really blessed by that and have learned a lot from the parent side as well as the teacher side, because your kids will tell you exactly what they think of that lesson. And so where your kids and your class may not give you their whole point of view, my son will. And so it's been really fun to kind of bounce ideas off of him and get his own take on things when afterwards, or ask him ahead of time, like, what do you think if we did this? And giving that ownership, that's been kind of fun. But we do try to turn it off as best we can. Our sons play baseball, so we like to go out and just play baseball or go shoot hoops in the yard, or we try a lot to keep things turned off until they go to bed.
Yes.
And then once they go to bed, and then if we need to, go back and visit things or talk about things, but we don't share a ton from our own classrooms unless we need to bounce ideas.
We'll see it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, and I was just thinking about that too. So you're layering all these things. We have 2 kids too, exactly this kind of same. We have never taught our kids, so that just adds that extra element. It's interesting, but you then co-authored this book too. So I'm just thinking about my wife and I. We're already like living in this space, and we need to take a step back from away from it, just so that we can, have a relationship, and that it be an edu relationship. It actually be a relationship, and then you guys have this extra layer, which you decided, hey, we're gonna write this amazing book, and you did it. And how did that all come about? And
I gotta say first though, I couldn't assemble IKEA furniture with my wife.
We couldn't find
without
parking in Miami
without
yesterday.
a battle royale occurring in my house, let alone writing a book together.
Well, those IKEA directions don't make sense to me either. That's what she's for. So I understand what you're saying.
But you made a good point. Like, it's kind of knowing your strengths, just like you tell your kids in your classroom. Everyone has their own strengths, and we work off of them. We definitely have our own strengths. I'm organized. I tend to plan, and I'll mark things down. I'll make a list, and then I'll hand it to him and say, hey, design this, get this out, tweet this out. He's got the humor. He's got that conversation with people that I may not do as well, being a little bit more introverted. So we've kind of taken a while, and we were also doing a home renovation during part of this out of our house. I mean, like, just
great.
Just that factor right there.
The fact that we're still married, I think this is good.
It's a miracle.
But we just kind of learned what we're
Amazing.
each good at, and have given grace to the other one on the things that they're not good at, and understand that, like, I don't expect all of these things to be done from the other person. And I think we've worked it out pretty well. Would you agree?
I completely agree. I mean,
That's a smart
I'm
man.
a smart man, so I know what to say
I was
here.
gonna
Yes,
say- I was gonna
dear.
say- yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's definitely it's a challenge, finding the appropriate balance. But I think you're right. I think that we just kind of have figured out a way to, kind of put it in our heads where, okay, we know that you're better at this and I'm better at this, and how can we make this done the most efficient way possible, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, prioritize. There's days where we kept the kids alive at school, and we did some good learning, and we came home and I didn't cook dinner.
Yeah.
And we just picked something up, or we grabbed sandwiches and went down to the beach, or and that's okay. Or there's days that I forgot to sign my son's take-home folder or whatever. Well, you know what? I sell it anyway. So
I can tell you which days you forgot to sign that take-home folder.
I know.
Actually.
And see, that's what we try to do. We try to balance. Like, I try to look at the little one stuff a little more because he's not with me all day. And then Joe tries to handle the older one stuff. So when they're having those conversations about school, it's with the other one.
That's smart.
Yeah. So it kind of helps balance it out. But
Sounds
they've
like
enjoyed
a really smart. I mean, your entire relationship, much less like the partnership of just trying to get together and partner with someone to write a book in general would be complex. But you add the complexity of being spouses, being married. That's freaking awesome. I mean, and then I was looking through your book, and we are just blown away by it and the content and the ideas that you're presenting, because we've had conversations on the side that there seems to be a lot of education books that come out that seem to be a repeat idea of something that has already been done, unfortunately. And this is not the case.
Oh,
so
awesome.
yeah, tell us more about
Okay,
that.
so the book, we tried our best to make it as a device agnostic or app agnostic as we could. Like, we want to make it as appealing to everyone, because the idea of engaging students is something that should be happening in every classroom.
Yes.
And so here, I'll talk first. You can tell about the second,
sounds great.
because that's your favorite part. So the first part of the book is all kind of the why we believe in teaching the way we do, what interactive learning means, what interactive teaching is, a little bit of a framework on how you kind of go through that process of creating lessons that are more student-centered, and what do you do when it doesn't work and how do you revisit those. Goes into creating, little things that maybe aren't as tech-related to create meaningful relationships with your students, with their parents, which I feel like is often very much overlooked, how to bring in parents to help, because the majority of the time they do want to help. They just don't know how. And then things you can just do in your classroom to set up your classroom and give the kids a space where they feel like they own it. It's their room. They learn in there. And so the whole first half of the book is a lot of that, a lot of quick ideas, photographs from our own classrooms, lesson ideas, things that we've done. We wanted to make the book as authentic as we could. And we didn't want teachers to read through it and go, oh, that sounds great. That's never going to work. So all of the things that are in the book are things that we have done, that we have tried, that we have used.
Just that is like so underrated, because you can write all day about stuff, but doing it is a totally different thing.
And you guys know those presenters, when you hear people say things, you're like, yeah, that sounds great, but that's not going to work. That's not how it transpires in my room.
Totally.
So that leads to the second half of the book.
Yeah, so the second part features a couple of our favorite apps, Flipgrid, Bunsey, Doing. There's a bunch of them in there. But what we do is we try to break down the lessons and explain to you first how the tools work, and then actual proven lessons that we've done even in first grade classrooms, so they're doable. That anybody can do these, and we break them down step by step. And the thing that that's my most favorite about it is that there's QR codes and links everywhere. So the actual book itself is interactive.
It's a resource.
Huge
resource.
A lot of the QR codes are with the Flipgrid AR feature. So when you actually go and you scan that with a Flipgrid app, they'll open up and it'll actually be us in the book, which is really cool.
Yeah, kind of giving you a little summary of what the book's about.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then there's a lot of links to like pre-made templates and things like that, so that you don't have to worry about getting started. It's already ready for you, and all you have to do is download it, figure out how it meets your standards, and go for it.
Seems like perfect. I work as an instructional coach now, former teacher, for our professional development kind of book studies, or just to tackle these types of things and really have some examples already kind of laid out, so that you can tackle it as a cohort, or even at a specific school. Which that's actually what I'm going to be doing, is pitching that idea for you guys, because we were talking about some of those concepts that you guys actually have already done, that's the biggest thing about a lot of the times when we're talking about instructional coaching. We're trying to find examples of people that have done these things at a high level, and it's very difficult to find those specific. There's a lot of stuff out there. Sure, people are like, just Google, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a lot of just things, but there's not a lot of like tight things that could actually be applied. I can then reiterate them and then push them into my classroom.
Exactly.
too.
And then once you start doing, maybe you start one of the lessons and you start getting familiar with that application, then your brain starts to go and you're like, oh, I could have done it here. I could have done this there. And then it'll start the creativity with that teacher to kind of embrace their own learning style and environment and the kind of ways they teach, and they can let it kind of go from there. But we want our relationships to be interactive, and we tell people when they buy the book, reach out to us. If you need help, we had people as we learned these things that we had to ask questions to. We didn't just like pick it up and figure it out. I mean, there's one app in there that my son figured it out. I was like, I can't do this. And he started, and I just kind of played along like, oh yeah, that's exactly, yep, keep going. And I'm like watching because I didn't know. And sometimes it's that fear of not knowing. And so we always tell people, reach out to us, email us. Another thing I like about the book is throughout it, there's a lot of call outs and things from a lot of our colleagues and educators around the country that have their own special niche and their own special place that they're really good at, that we kind of wanted to highlight. Like, hey, you really want to learn about Flipgrid subplans? Check out this person. This is the person who started it and did it.
Kyle Hamstra.
Yeah, I wasn't going to name drop, but because there's so many in there.
Follow him on Twitter. He's awesome.
He's awesome. And so we try to do that as well, so you could not only get all these ideas, but you can also grow your network and teachers to follow and people that we follow and are inspired by.
I think it's also important to note too that there's a lot in the book too about parent interaction. So, making sure that the parents are a part of that interactive experience as well, and making sure that they know what's happening in the classroom at all times and how you can go about doing that. Really taking down, I know it's kind of cliche now, taking the walls down and making them into windows, but more so giving them a 360 view of what's happening throughout your day, throughout your week. And we kind of go through a little bit of how we do that and how we've had success with that. But, really making sure that your parents are involved in learning, because without them, you're going to be lost.
And let us know about book talks, because that's the next thing we're we're working on is we're putting together a big kind of PDF walkthrough of people. We've already had a couple orders of people buying the book for their school. And so I think we're going to have some questions with each chapter in the beginning. And then towards the back, we may go by apps. So like if they want to do like a specific app a week or as a, we'll have some ideas, maybe some even like action items that you guys could go out and do. So we're in the process of getting that together as well.
Oh, so awesome.
So let's nerd out a little bit, Joe,
All right, let's do it.
on book design.
Sure.
Because every time, especially some of these, especially the hyper creative books that we've come across, like Michael Cohen's book.
He's awesome.
Geeking out over book design is my jam, and you've done a hell of a job on this.
Oh, thank you. It was not just me. Kristin was a big
And we
part
had
of
the
it.
most amazing editing team too.
Yes.
Our publishers, Elevate Books, they really helped guide us. They never said no. They always just gave us advice along the way that kind
And
of
there's a lot of
refined our
experience
thinking.
there.
Oh my goodness, yes. And so we were very thankful for that. And so we have to give our props. But Mr. Merrill's a little bit on the
Picky.
picky
Yeah.
side. Let's just say that.
And we've talked about this
Yeah.
off air. Own it. Like, I mean, just own it. I can't say it enough. It's your legacy. It's the thing that you've put out into the world that is going to be with you the rest of your lives. And you got to be damn proud of it. You got to want to like show it to people and say, look at this thing that we did together.
So
And-
I was almost finished with college with a graphic design degree, and I was like a credit or two short. And I go into this a little bit in the book, but
Yeah.
there's a reason why I quit. Ask
And
me
like
about,
6 months before we got married, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Drop that one down the table.
She was totally cool with it. I was surprised. But ask me about my Comic Sans story some other time. But anyways, so yeah, exactly. So I couldn't do it anymore, and I was like, this is not for me. I always wanted to work with kids, and so that's kind of where the design part comes from. But we're very particular with it because at the end of the day, like, it's another form of engagement, you've got to be visually appealing and it's got to capture the attention. Otherwise it's just boring and dry.
Well, and
Nobody
design
wants to
can
do it.
be organizational too. So the organizational brain, quick, chunked, easy things to go through and read through to find. I hate when I go through a book and I can't find what I'm looking for too.
And
It's
I think-
also in weird ways a language. Like when I look through a book, I'm looking for the things I knew as soon as I started flipping through the pages that I was going to like it because of the way it was designed.
Right.
I knew that if you put enough thought, if you put this much thought into the page where you could just write notes and you left a big open spot. You didn't even put a border around it. You just put a little, because that's a design decision. Like, I mean, you could put a border around it and you may have even had those conversations. Do we put a little black, but it boxes you in.
That's exactly. We actually did have that conversation, and we use some tools where we're from called Thinking Maps. And there's a lot of scientific research that goes behind when you put a box around something, your brain just shuts off right away. And so we actually
It's
are
a
very
real thing.
careful. Yeah, absolutely. We're very careful not to do that, just to make sure that there's always that room for creativity, and always room to expand those thoughts.
That's the educator meeting the book world, because when you tell a book editor or publisher that you want to leave a blank page, they're like, absolutely not.
Right.
We're like, no, trust me, we're going to have some blank pages.
And the educators go, yeah.
And so it's those little things funny things, like we have a font that we always like to use. I mean, we want to look at it and think, oh, that looks like the Merrills. That feels like the Merrills. And they're like, we don't do fonts in all caps. We're like, well, maybe we can. Why not? And it's just been a lot of fun like that. And they played off really well too. And some of the design elements where they put things in, even like the margins and things like that, was them. Once they kind of felt out what we were looking for. And we are really pleased. Funny, we didn't pre-order the book. So we didn't put it on pre-order.
There were pre-orders,
Yeah, we uploaded it, and Amazon's a funny thing, and it was taking a really long time. And we were so frustrated that I kind of talked with Holly Clark, one of our Elevate team members, mentors, and she was like, well, I said, Holly, I don't really buy books on pre-order. Can we just launch it? She's like, I guess. Try it. So we launched it. And we were literally launching this book, and we hadn't even had a copy in our own hands yet.
Oh,
Other people got it before
And
we did.
they were getting the book delivered to their doorsteps, and we're like, oh my gosh, like that's what it looks like. So when it came in,
That's what it looks like.
It was even more special. We actually ordered our
Absolutely.
first copy on Amazon because it took. It was quicker to get it that way than to wait for the big boxes of the books. But even that, like, they were like, oh, I don't know, everyone does it this way. And we're like, well, why? like we didn't write it for us, we wrote it for everybody else. So let it out, you know? And it's just been really kind of cool to see.
What
it
an
engage.
experience probably seeing your book for the first time.
It's so surreal.
It
So
was
surreal.
really cool. We actually let our little son, our younger one, open the package,
Yeah.
only because he's the only one that's like completely oblivious and has no idea what's going on. The older one knew.
No idea how big a deal it is.
I mean, he doesn't even know we wrote a book, really. Like, and he
Sure.
opened the package and he gets it out, and
He was very disappointed to know it was a book because he saw the Amazon
thought it was a
package.
toy.
Yeah.
yeah. And so, you know, I know Mr. Merrill's kind of. I'm like, oh, this, you know, 6-year-old's like, what's the first thing
so
you look at a
funny.
book and title and author, and he like takes the book and like puts it up in front of his face because he doesn't even know what kind of reaction to show us, and we're like, no, what? And he goes,
He like did that double take.
oh my
you know?
gosh, and he reads it off, and it was like a really sweet,
Oh,
a
that's
sweet memory.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Very
like,
genuine, yeah.
and then we fought and said we probably should have ordered 2 because like the rest of the night we just kept wanting to look at it
Oh,
and
yeah.
go through it, but.
But
Amazing.
you know, design is a big thing too. I think that we need to teach to our students.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah.
amen.
and
Amen.
even at a young age, like, you know, letting them know that, like, no, you can't put a box in front of your face in a video. Like, that's not appropriate. No, you shouldn't be. Even simple things like when you record a video, how to appropriately record a video. This is their future. And, you know, it's up to us as educators to be teaching those things and really making sure that they know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And
I'm thinking
that's
like
just very
clip
particular.
times, like when waiting before you record your things,
Right.
or even when you make a visual, that idea of drawing your eye around the whole page and what's the main message you're trying to get across, and those kinds of things. We have all the programs, but
I taught
teaching them.
I taught rule of thirds.
Mm-hmm.
Photography. Like I taught a photography unit.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
taught about like that this but I didn't just teach the rule of thirds and the technique, like in the sense that I wasn't basic. I didn't say just make sure that things are off to the side a little bit. I talked about why, and you talk about the science. You talk about how in advertising they know that this works and that your eyes are directed to these 4 locations in a photo first, and so if you put them there, that's what you're going to see, and focuses of attention and
Well,
stuff
it gives
like
the
that.
kids a sense of advocacy too, because then they'll start looking at things and be like, oh, I noticed that on that advertisement, right?
Yeah,
Guys, they're
yeah.
trying to get you, like, you know, and giving them that knowledge
Yep.
too is important.
So you go into then you can go into like digital literacy, and it's like, why are they taking pictures of things this way to make you want to look at it and want it because of the way, and that the photograph is doing that. Like, so you can talk about digital literacy, and there's like a whole, and all that you talked about was a photo.
Yep.
So there is this whole vocabulary and glossary and language and appendix to design that we're just starting to scratch the surface of talking about. That's so exciting to talk about. How can people connect with you, reach out to you, learn more about you, buy the book?
Oh my gosh, I feel like we're everywhere.
Share all of that
so
stuff.
if you're interested in just like starting, because we talk about this in the book as well, like getting on social media, and there's different levels of being engaged. So if you just kind of want to lurk and watch and see what's going on, more grade specific, we each have our own Twitter handles.
Yep.
So mine's at Friends in Fourth, and
Mine is at Mr. Merrill's class.
so that's more if you just want to, I want really some good primary ideas, or I want English ideas. And then we have a joint account at the Merrills EDU where we share some of the same things, but we try to share a little bit more of like the how we did it rather than
how-tos,
just
yeah.
like, here's what the cool thing the kids made. And a lot of our webinars and, you know, those kinds of things. Obviously the book is through there. And then we're also on Instagram on all the same handles.
Yeah, all the social media outlets. It's just the same. The Merrills EDU, 2 R's, 2 L's, double the fun because there's 2 of us. So,
That's a good one. You should tag that one. Find
yeah,
that one.
Very nice.
That's a sticker.
yeah. And then we have the merrillsedu.com. That's our
Yes.
website. And yeah.
And our blog's attached to that as well. So you can go in and kind of read some of the past things. We like to curate
There it
a lot
is.
of the lessons too. Many are from the book in there.
The book is available on Amazon.
It's on sale for the month of January.
It is.
too.
There you
Yeah.
go.
We have a book bundle going on. So if you do buy it in the month of January, there's some freebies and some goodies and stuff that we'll send you. So yeah.
There you go. The interactive classroom out now.
Yeah, the interactive class. You got to get your copy.
The Merrills, thank you
you
for
so
joining
much.
us.
Thank you so
Kristin and
much.
Joe, thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to OnEducation. My name is Glen Irvin. My co-host is Mike Washburn. OnEducation is part of the On Podcast Media Network. You can listen to this show and many others by great educators like Monica Burns, Mike Matera, Tisha Richmond, and many more by visiting onpodcastmedia.com. Want to get in touch with us? Check out our website at oneducationpodcast.com. You can tweet us at OnEducationPod. Mike is at Mr. Washburn on Twitter, and I can be found on Twitter at IrvSpanish. You can find us on Facebook by visiting facebook.com/OnEducationPod. We're also on Instagram @OnEducationPod. If you're enjoying the show and think others would too, we would be thrilled if you shared it with them. Please leave us a rating or review in Apple Podcasts or the Google Play Store. When you leave a rating, it gives our rankings a boost. This helps others discover the show. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, Classcraft, for supporting us. Check out classcraft.com/OnEducation to learn more about them. Thanks as always for listening. Stay awesome and see you soon.